Most actors in Hollywood pick up a few enemies over the years, comes with the territory. But Harrison Ford has been an A-lister for over 50 years, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who has a real problem with him. The guy just does his job, collects his paycheck, and moves on. Except, there's one actor who absolutely hates his guts, and he's made sure everyone knows it. That actor is Alec Baldwin. And the reason? A little franchise called Jack Ryan. Let's rewind to the early 90s. Ford was coming off a hot streak. Working Girl, Presumed Innocent, Indiana Jones, and The Last Crusade, Regarding Henry, all box office hits. So when the studio came knocking with Patriot Games, offering him the role of Tom Clancy's legendary CIA analyst turned action hero Jack Ryan, it was a no-brainer. Ford signed on. The only problem, someone else had already played Jack Ryan. See, just a year earlier, Alec Baldwin starred in The Hunt for Red October, and it was a massive hit. $200 million at the box office, rave reviews, and an all-star cast led by Sean Connery. Baldwin figured he had the role locked down for future sequels. He was already in talks with Paramount about returning for Patriot Games when things suddenly got weird. Meetings got delayed, calls stopped getting returned, and then Baldwin got a surprise phone call from John McTiernan, the director of Red October. McTiernan basically told him, "Look, I don't know how to say this, but Paramount is pushing you out. They've got someone bigger lined up." And that someone was Harrison Ford. According to Baldwin, Ford had been circling a different movie, but it fell apart, leaving Paramount on the hook for a huge payout. So instead of eating the loss, they pulled some studio math, cut Baldwin loose, gave Ford the Jack Ryan gig, and just like that, Baldwin was out. Baldwin later called it a gutting. He genuinely thought he was about to build a franchise. Instead, he got shoved aside. And if that wasn't humiliating enough, McTiernan supposedly asked Ford if he felt even a little bit bad about taking the role from his Working Girl co-star. Ford's alleged response? Fuck him. To say Baldwin took it personally would be an understatement. Years later, in his memoir, nevertheless, he went after Ford hard. He didn't just criticize the move, he made it personal. He claimed Ford wasn't just angling for another franchise, he was desperate for one. In Baldwin's words, Ford was a guy who knew his career needed another blockbuster to stay on top. The carpenter who walked onto a set and then into movie history, Baldwin wrote, knew that these roles were his legacy. Then he got real petty. He described Ford as a little man, short, scrawny, and wiry, whose soft voice sounds as if it's coming from behind a door. Now, let's be real here. Harrison Ford is 6'1", has spent his career playing rugged action heroes, and has one of the most recognizable voices in Hollywood. Baldwin's description? Yeah, that might just be the bitterness talking. At the end of the day, Ford got the franchise, the box office wins, and let's be honest, the last laugh. Baldwin, meanwhile, spent decades really not letting this one go. And while he went on to have a successful career, his shot at being an action hero? Dead in the water. So, does Alec Baldwin hate Harrison Ford? Well, if you go by what he's written and said over the years, yeah, it's safe to say there's no love lost. As for Ford, something tells me he's never lost a second of sleep over it.